For nearly 2,000 years, Judas Iscariot has been remembered as the betrayer, the disciple who handed Jesus over, the man whose name became a symbol of treachery. But one ancient text tells the story differently. In that version, Judas is not simply the villain. He is the disciple who understands a secret the others do not. So the question is this: was Judas truly the greatest traitor in history? Or was he playing a role that only he understood? Welcome to the Hidden Scrolls. Tonight, we enter one of the most controversial stories in early Christian literature, the Gospel of Judas. This is not part of the New Testament. Most Christian traditions reject it. But as an ancient text, it shows us something fascinating, that early Christianity was not always as simple or unified as people imagine. There were debates. There were rival interpretations. There were groups who told familiar stories in unfamiliar ways. And few stories are more shocking than the one told about Judas. In the traditional story, Judas Iscariot is one of the 12 disciples. He walks with Jesus. He hears the teachings. He shares the table. But in the end, he becomes the one who betrays him. For many believers, Judas represents greed, betrayal, and spiritual failure. His name became a warning, a symbol of what happens when loyalty dies. But the Gospel of Judas asks us to look at him from another angle, not as a hero in the ordinary sense, not as an innocent man in the normal sense, but as someone who may have understood something the others did not. The Gospel of Judas was known to some early Christian writers because it was criticized in antiquity. Irenaeus, a bishop writing around AD 180, mentioned a Gospel of Judas while attacking groups he considered heretical. Many centuries later, a Coptic manuscript containing the text appeared and became known to modern scholars. The surviving manuscript is not from the time of Jesus. It is much later, but it preserves a strange and powerful version of the Judas story. And in that version, the world itself is viewed differently. To understand the Gospel of Judas, you must understand the Gnostic atmosphere behind it. Many Gnostic traditions taught that the material world was flawed, shadowed, or ruled by lower powers. They often saw salvation not mainly as forgiveness of sin, but as awakening through hidden knowledge. Knowledge of who you truly are. Knowledge of where the soul comes from. Knowledge of the higher divine reality beyond the visible world. In many Gnostic texts, Jesus is not only a teacher of morals. He is a revealer of hidden knowledge. And Judas, in this text, is presented as the disciple who receives a special revelation. In the Gospel of Judas, the other disciples are often shown as misunderstanding Jesus. They are attached to ordinary religious expectations. They do not fully understand the higher mystery being revealed. But Judas is different. He recognizes something about Jesus that the others do not. And because of this, Jesus speaks to him privately. This is where the text becomes controversial. The act that the traditional story remembers as betrayal becomes, in this version, part of a hidden plan. Judas is told that he will be set apart from the others. He will be hated. He will be remembered badly. But he will also perform the action that allows Jesus to leave the physical body behind. This does not make the story simple. It makes it stranger, because the Gospel of Judas does not turn Judas into a cheerful hero. It presents him as a tragic figure, a man chosen for a dark role, a man who understands more than others, but pays for it with his name. This is why the Gospel of Judas still gets people talking. It challenges one of the most familiar stories in Christian memory. It asks whether a person can be condemned by history while playing a role inside a mystery. It asks whether the crowd always understands the truth. For mainstream Christianity, this interpretation is not accepted. The traditional Gospels remain the foundation for Christian belief. But the Gospel of Judas is still historically fascinating because it shows how some ancient groups wrestled with the meaning of Jesus. The soul, the world, and salvation. The bigger lesson. Whether you believe the Gospel of Judas or reject it, the text reveals something powerful. Stories are never only stories. They are battles over meaning. Who was faithful? Who was blind? Who understood? Who misunderstood? Who gets remembered as evil? And who gets forgotten completely? The Gospel of Judas does not simply ask us to defend Judas. It asks us to think about how history is written. It asks us to think about how religious memory is formed. And it reminds us that early religious history was filled with voices, some preserved, some rejected, some buried, and some rediscovered. So was Judas really the villain? For many, the answer will always be yes. For others, the Gospel of Judas opens a more complicated question. Maybe Judas was not the hero. Maybe he was not only the villain. Maybe he was the most tragic man in the room. A man remembered for betrayal. A man placed inside a mystery. A man whose name became darkness. But whose story, in one ancient text, was never that simple. What do you think? Was Judas a traitor, a tragic instrument, or a misunderstood disciple? Leave your thoughts below. And subscribe to the Hidden Scrolls for more ancient texts, lost scriptures, and forgotten religious mysteries.